Today we are starting Chapter 3, and we're going to talk about the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution is the most powerful document in the history of all republics. The phrase, "we the people," goes on to explain why the Constitution was written and why the government is structured as it is. In this document, it lays out the laws and the rights the people have and the protections that are there from the government. Constitution was written in 1787 and became the law of the land in 1789. But more importantly than that document, the document is the most important part of our government. It's the values that we attach to it. And these democratic values are the things that really bind us together as a society. Meaning that we're all people, we're all individuals, we have our own opinions on things, but we're able to go through and figure out what are the things that bind us together that are going to serve us best as a full culture. Democratic values like individual liberty, equality, limited government, consent of the governed, and justice serve as the foundations of the United States Constitution. Individual liberty is my freedom to do the things I want to do, how I want to do them. Equality, self-explanatory, obviously, that every person, regardless of age, race, sex, are all given the same abilities to be governed fairly within the system. Limited government's talking about how much do we want to have interaction. We talked about in section 2 of the last chapter, what role should the government play in my life? Meaning, what kind of involvement would I allow or welcome? And because it's also by the consent of the governed, meaning that do we give the government consent to those types of things? And justice, of course, the foundation, meaning that everybody's held accountable and everybody's treated fairly under that same system. So I want you to think back to this morning. You said this every single day. I want you to really think about how many times have you said the Pledge of Allegiance in your lifetime? Can you tell me without stopping to think about what democratic values or beliefs the Pledge of Allegiance embodies? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, I want to go back to Francis Bellamy. He was a socialist and a minister, and he wrote the first version of the Pledge of Allegiance back in 1892 as part of a 400-year celebration of Columbus's first voyage to the New World. When the pledge was originally recited, people saluted by extending their right arm with the palm down towards the flag. This gesture was eliminated during World War II because it was too closely resembling the Nazi salute. The accepted salute became placing the right hand over the heart. The pledge itself also underwent change. After being officially adopted by Congress in 1942, the pledge was revised in 1954 to include the phrase, "under God." This change came from the religious groups and from politicians who wanted to highlight the difference between the godless Soviet Union and the United States during the Cold War era. That phrase continues to stir controversy to this day. So, I want you to think about, and what we're to talk about going forward is, the different presidential candidates and the people who run for office. They often refer to the values that they hold dearly and believe that will connect them to voters. So I want you to think about this. And if you're in class, we're going to be doing this as an assignment together. If you're not, you can just put this in your journal. What values appeal most strongly to Americans? And I want us to analyze and answer the questions as much as we possibly can. Meaning, what values do you see whenever you look at some of this political propaganda from the presidents? First of all, we'll look at President Trump. He has this sort of trucker-style hat, always red. It says "Make America Great Again." His pins and rallies say "Making America Great Again." What does that mean, and what type of democratic value does that embody? Let's look at former President Barack Obama. His campaign cry was "Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can." So you see that on a lot of the literature of Barack Obama. What democratic value does that support? President Eisenhower, peace and prosperity. Again, what does that support? John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, 1961, the New Frontier. What does that support? I'm for Nixon. I like Ike. What type of democratic values do those slogans portray? After that discussion, what I'm going to do is we're going to have an introductory assignment where I'd like you to go through and design your own campaign button as if you were running for President of the United States in this next election cycle. What democratic values would you like to share? The directions will be posted on the website. I'd like you to use Google Drawing for this assignment, and you'll be able to submit it through Google Classrooms.